Not because we're going to use it against you, God forbid. We're recording it so that whoever's here or not here, remember, there's still a bunch of guys still wherever in Kutzlights we call it. Keep reaching out to them. Don't forget about the crew that were here, because you never know, they might make it back. What do you reckon? They're coming back?
The
guys that left.
Not next week.
Maybe next week?
No, I think not.
Whatever. That's what they've been saying every time we're gonna find them.
The parents in there, the parents are scared to say until the war's over.
So the war's over. This is going to be like a 6 month.
At the end of Mechina, so.
Yeah, we don't know how long this is going. You know, I'd love it to be over tomorrow, and that's why today's class we're going to talk about win-win. We're going to talk about victory, because even though really all the things we talked about. Remember, we had a heart over here, and we had the private victory. Yeah, that's the private. It's about like you getting yourself together. So we said before we can go public, we first have to sort out the private. Remember, 1, 2, 3, proactive, end in mind. First things first. And remember, this is all within the intimacy flow. That's why it's in the shape of a heart. We're trying to be loving people that we can be able to get to the level of having a relationship with someone that actually lasts, which is a big accomplishment in 2023. Agreed? That's a victory. Just if you can stay married. As I said, I'm married 21 years, 22 years is Hanukkah. That's a victory for me personally. But now the problem is we're in a sort of emergency situation. We don't want to be usually in these kind of scenarios like we're in now with a war. This is not how you want to work on yourself. You want to do it in step-by-step process. Every so often there's going to come along situations where you're going to be tested. We've been talking about that with Avraham Avinu. He was tested. There's going to be situations going to be tested. So usually I would wait till Shmos, till we start talking about Bnei Israel, the Jewish people, like as a whole, as a nation. Because we switch. Right now we're talking about individuals. Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov. This is the winter, the beginning part. We're getting ready for the Hanukkah, you've really been here now, a solid time. You can really feel like you've accomplished. And then we can start talking about what we're going to do for the for the nation. So too in the Torah. What we're going to do for Bnei Israel. Yeah, but right now I don't really have that leisure to just say we'll hold off on getting to win-win, to victory, because we want victory now. Yeah, because every minute that soldiers out there, guys, every minute one of my son's out there, he's still a whole week now in Gaza. I haven't heard from him directly once. His phone's been taken away. You know, every week our soldiers are out there. We're just hearing another death, another injury, another story. And obviously we want them to do this. We want them to win and kill our enemies. But the longer it goes, the more casualties and painful it is and more politicized, and it's difficult. But they also have to do it in the right way. We can't rush. This kind of process is very difficult. So, as much as we want this war over and everyone back here, and life goes back to a more positive, hopeful level. In the meanwhile, while we're still in this war, we got to step on the pedal a little bit, like all of us. So one of the things I haven't done so much, which I regret not doing, but it's going to be up to you guys to do. I asked you last week in the chat if anyone takes a look in Intimacy Boys chat that you guys yourself set up. You're going to have to come to me with a little bit more Q&A, like things you want to discuss about intimacy, so that we can get more sorted out in a public place. Because once we've got this down, now you're more aware of what your issues are. Now we can start as a group. We can work it out together. I can't do this myself. I can't really help you guys unless you want to help yourselves, and that means help as a group. Obviously, it's anonymous. We're not going to say names. Remember, it's recorded. Any questions that come up, any personal stuff, anyone wants to speak to me before, after, during, I'm open to talk about these kind of subjects. They're difficult for 2023 because as we mentioned, sex education as an example in Netflix, it's a very confused world in this story. And you can see by your generation of teenagers, what are they running around university? Because a lot of guys and girls at your age are in university now. They didn't get this gap year or a few years to take out of that. And what are they doing in America? What are they in the UK? What are they chanting? How are they talking? They don't sound like they've got their heads on straight to me. Yeah? Agreed?
Yes.
what they're saying things like free Palestine to the river to the sea, that means genocide of the Jewish people. Like, it's not the kind of stuff I was saying when I was at university, and nobody was saying, even the Arabs or the Muslims or the Christians or anyone I met in university, no one was saying stuff like that. There was beginning plants of seeds of that kind of conversation, but it wasn't so explicit, the hatred and the disdain for us. And so that's just a very extreme example, but it's all been within, like BLM riots 2 years before and the year before. Like, there's been this boiling point in the world in the young generation of confusion. And as I said, the sex education Netflix series shows where it's at on the sexual intimacy level, that it's a bit screwed, literally. Like, it's just free about feelings and no real logic, nothing rational. Like, did anyone check out Ben Shapiro in Cambridge and Oxford? Anyone have a look? Yeah, you watched it?
Just watched the whole thing this morning.
Yeah, I literally watched the whole thing late at night. Cause I don't like staying up too late, because then it messes me up. Like, so then I can't get up to like this kind of stuff in my full focus. But I was mesmerized by not them, they were a joke, but the way he dealt with them, like his ability to deal with the new generation of university, like, supposed elite. And then, if these are the elite, God save the Queen and the King and everyone else, because they're not really the elite. They're pretty. I wasn't impressed. I don't know if you guys felt the same. Like, their arguments were not at all on par with where he was, and he destroyed them, as they say. Or they'll take a clip where it makes it look like they destroyed him, but it doesn't. I mean, it's anyone who puts it into the full context, he destroyed all of them. And it wasn't like destroying. He literally just showed they're just missing facts, and they're missing values and morality. And so based on that we're in such a time, and these kind of discussions that's going on online, exposing how, or the TikTok videos, the whole reality that's going on is exposing how confused people are. So we as a group here, we got to really, really go for this. Like, really realize we're at war, and it's not just a war on the field in the army. It's a cultural war, and that means we need to know our values. And in the intimacy realm, it's going to be really one of the hardest places, and it's the most personal as well. Because this is, think about it. This is your body, your intimate realm. This is who you're letting into. You're the most intimate self. Now, if you take from the Torah, it says when Adam connected to Chava, he knew her. It means knowing the other person on the deepest level. That's what intimacy really is. It means connecting on the most deep level. There's a guy called Gedalia Fentz I'm a fan of, and he has a rehab, and we're friends in Miami. A beautiful home. He has a detox. He has amazing businesses, which I've been in his businesses. And, I'm just always like careful with what I'm saying. But when I was at his business, he has this like Miami, like beautiful woman PA working for him. And I walk in and I have to talk to her a little bit, because he's asking me to go back and forth between her to get things printed and prepared for the event that we're doing in Miami. And so she starts talking, and I'm there all day, every day for that time in Miami, because I've got meetings in the office there that he's given aside a space. And he's making a party in his house, beautiful house. I mean, no, it's on the bay there, and it's like with a beautiful swimming pool. And, like, you have to understand this setting. Most bays in Miami, I don't know, have you been to Miami, guys? You live in Miami. So if most of the bays, there's constant like traffic in the bays with boats. Yeah. His bay, there's nothing, because it's private. And that's like another level. There's levels, yeah? But to get into his building, you have to go through levels, not just one level of security, 2-3 levels of security to get to that part of Miami. Like, there's gates and gates and gates. And you get to it, and this house, swimming pool, the whole setup, it was all lit up. It was all decor like you can't imagine. And they even had a DJ and a barman for the party. And I was talking to her, and she was like, I was like, you should come as well, because like his worker. And she said, oh, don't worry, I'll be there. And she turned up, and and I'm a married man, and I got to like have my boundaries, and I'm here to do good, only positive things and focus. And obviously, there's nothing. She's like, it's not even anything going to happen or anything. But nevertheless, there's still that energy. And you've got to figure out, like, now, my energy is for my wife. That's it. My energy, I can't even think about this. It's not even an option. It's not even a conversation. And I'm sure it wasn't by in her head, but as a man, you're going to start feeling those things when you see a beautiful lady, and you communicate. Now, one of the things is that's been brought to my attention, and this, I want you guys once again to ask me questions. I'm not going to just talk and talk. Brought to my attention is that when you see a lady, your first thing to do, especially with the way the world's trained us, is to give her like a measurement, like where's she at? You know, is she a 1, she a 2, a 3, 4, 5? Yeah, the number game. Everyone plays that. Yeah. Huh?
Let's play it.
Play it. So we could play it. I mean, I reckon that woman was like an 8, a 9. She was divorced, you know, or getting divorced.
What's next to a 10?
10. Okay. So you guys are already on this game way ahead of me. Over here with the private victory of 1, 2, and 3, we're pretty low down because we've got to first sort ourselves out. That's an important point. You can't really rate someone else until you're rateable yourself. That's an important point. Meaning you've got to sometimes turn the table. Wait a minute. What am I? I was speaking to my wife about it, and she said a lot of the guys don't realize they're not such God's gift to man. Yeah, like when my wife used to play this game, and she used to write my name. You know, Martin Sauber, that was what it was then, and Ellie Goldsmith was my name, and she'd like do the numbers. I don't know if you've seen that game, and you work out the letters with the numbers, and then you see if they're compatible. She'd do stuff like that.
Was it or not?
Huh?
Was it compatible?
It was, yeah. So she was very happy. Or, you know, you do that, she loves me not, with the rose. Or, you know, there's all these different silly things. But the point is that there was that idea of connection, that energy, and that feeling of wanting to evaluate this woman. But remember, women covered Bas Melech Panima, they're much deeper than that. It's not just about how they look externally. It's a person. Like my wife pointed out to me, that a lot of the girls who were the kind of girls that would get that 10 or whatever you'd say, they were not the greatest people inside. They were like BITC, I don't want to say. Yeah, they were chaps, or whatever you want to call them. They were not real people inside. They had it externally, but they hadn't done the inner work. They hadn't done what we're talking about on these last sessions of working on the private victory, of really getting yourself sorted out within. And therefore, the whole evaluation was nothing, because you're not really going to connect to this person past how they look, because the whole person inside is really where it's at. Because remember, I said before, intimacy is getting to know someone. And getting to know someone is past the body parts. Yeah, it's a personality, it's a soul thing. Like Gedalia always says, when you connect, one day, please God, you'll find your soulmate, and you'll connect with that person. When you're connecting with them, don't forget these words. You're downloading your das, your knowledge, everything you've accumulated into that other person. Like, that's really what's happening on an intimate level. That's why it formulates children, it formulates something worthwhile. Now, if you're just downloading it into a plastic thing and throwing it in the pach, yeah, which is unfortunately what the world's doing mostly, or you're not even doing that, you've found some other way around it, but you're not really connecting with that in mind, so you don't really understand that you've just got this tremendous opportunity to bring down the soul, and you've downloaded it to nowhere. Yeah, like that's, if for example, if a person has a tremendous like gift, you know, you've just got your inheritance after 120 with your parents, and then you just like go out to Vegas and blast it all. How would you feel the next like 2 days after, with the hangover and all the fun moments you seemingly had, but you've got no inheritance? You just blew it. And everyone in your family is like, what do you do with the inheritance? Like, we're going to invest in property, and we had this whole like, you know, opportunity to a business investment, and you just blew it in Vegas in 2-3 days. That would be like, everyone here would know that was a complete waste. So really you have to understand that kind of connection. You're downloading your inner wisdom into something that's meaningless if it's not your soulmate. And that's the concept that people don't realize, how powerful the intimacy game is. It's like the most deep part of yourself connecting with the deep part of another person. And the problem is the world's made it so externalized that, like you're saying, you're playing a number game. That there are this and there are that, but you're not even saying about what am I. You're just saying what they are. And that sort of devalues who they are, because as we said, the beautiful part of a woman is the inner realm. It's not just how she expresses herself externally. Fine, it will shine out. It will shine out in being a beautiful lady. But yeah, these are the kind of things we're going to bring up, and I want you guys to ask me questions. If you have a question, seriously, I can't win this victory by myself. I can't just stand here and talk and talk. I want you guys to comment or ask, ask me a question about this subject, and I do believe I'll have the answers. I'm not maybe as sharp as Ben Shapiro, but I do have in this subject. I do have a lot of wisdom and experience that, as I said many times, and it makes you laugh. But I really have had that journey that I'm happy to feel that that's something I can share with you guys, and it will help you. So, and I believe you'll help me understand it better as well by asking me or bringing me good points. Because one of the reasons why Ben is so good at what he does, Shapiro, is because he's so sharp, because he's so consistent at doing it again and again, and doing these debates and doing these. That's how you come good at your material. You want to become a successful person as well. Keep doing it day after day. Practice makes perfect. Yeah, all the goats, they don't stop doing their thing day after day after day. All right, today I don't have my Jordan. I have Thank You Hashem. So today I'm working on appreciation. Yeah, but every day it's different vibes. But the question is, how are we going to win this war? We got to do it together. We can't do it alone. And that's really the real key to win-win. Win-win means I want you to win just as much I'm going to win. Yeah? In your army unit, I want to be the best soldier, or you want to be the best unit? Yeah, best pluga. You want to be the best pluga? Because it's not going to help. You might be blasting everyone away, but now your plugger's half asleep or not really into it, and then you're by yourself out there facing the enemy. That's not going to be good. It's not going to be a good ending. It might be a good Rambo movie, but it's not going to be a good reality in Olam Hazeh, and the reality of how war really is, not just how the movies make it. Because there, the bullets always miss. Here, if you don't have your backup and your team, the lowering the chances is not how we do war. So who wants to ask me something, please? Question about intimacy, scoring women, I don't care what it is. You want to ask me graphic stuff, I'll deal with it. I'm there.
You regret sleeping with women before you got married?
Yes. So one of the most painful days of my life is when I slept with that girl, Emily, from Prince William's birthday. Did I mention that story already?
Is that your cousin? Or
No, the cousin. That's another one. So that one I never slept with her. And I don't regret not sleeping with her. Thank God. Because that was a bit weird. I don't regret not sleeping with her because I didn't sleep with her. I did kiss her, but that was weird. It felt weird. It's I don't know, that moment where you just... there was a movie though that, what was it? Back to the Future, when he kissed his mother or something. I don't know. That was pretty freaky. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, kissing your cousin's not really you can marry them. It is not against the rule book, but yeah. But do I regret? Yeah, the one I regret is Emily, the non-Jewish girl that I slept with, because I don't know. One, I'm Jewish, so it was the first time I slept with a non-Jewish girl, and I think it was my first time sleeping with any girl actually. And I'll be honest, I borrowed I'm going to be very graphic here. I don't mind, it's recorded. It is what it is. I borrowed a recording from my brother. I bought a condom for my brother. Yeah. So he had it in his room, and I knew he'd have, so I went into his drawer and took him. I wasn't prepared, and it broke. Yeah, because it wasn't obviously I don't know, maybe it was it wasn't valid or whatever it was. Or it could be other reasons. I don't want to say. But the point was, it broke, and so not only did I sleep with a non-Jewish girl, but also the condom broke, and then I was freaking out afterwards. Yeah, and I know there's an after the thing pill and all this stuff, but I wasn't so clued up at that time, and maybe they didn't have technology like that as much. Remember, it was in the 90s, yeah? So I don't know where they were at with that stuff. So I went to my oldest brother, and I told him what happened, because I was freaking out, and he's not the most emotionally, tuned in guy, but he was there for me in those moments, and he said to me, it'll be fine, don't worry about it. Probably nothing happened. And but I said I feel really dead inside, like something wrong happened, and that he couldn't explain. But I knew deep down as I went on my journey, that's because I slept with a non-Jew. Yeah, that something inside me felt like it died, I didn't feel good. Forget about the other part of it.
Did she get pregnant?
No, she didn't. I didn't feel good. Now this same girl, Emily,
You didn't feel good only because he was a non-Jew or because he was
Yeah, deep down,
Really?
I felt like
That's a lot,
something.
like whatever. That's like
I felt like,
so small to getting someone pregnant. That's like changing your whole life.
yeah, but that wasn't everyone said don't worry about it. Because I explained how it went down and they were like, don't worry about it. But when it came to the feeling how I felt inside about her, guys, just to catch you up, we're doing a Q&A of intimacy stuff because we want to win this war. And I'm just going through a little bit they asked me about, do I regret some of the girls I slept with before? So the one I regret with the most is the non-Jewish girl who I slept with, yeah? And she was the only one non-Jewish guy I slept with. I did have other opportunities and each time I turned it down.
Every time you went to the club or something and
I turned it down.
you were sleeping with...
No, girls...
You wanted to make out with someone, you asked if they're Jewish?
No, girls, it was obvious. Girls, I remember, I'll give you another story and then we'll get back to the Emily one.
Or something like
No, another story. I'll tell you a story. I was in one of these Ibiza islands. You know Ibiza? Like, you ever heard? There's even a Netflix film called Ibiza, actually. It's like
the most famous party destination outside of the US. Like you have Las Vegas and
these
US
Spanish
and
islands. So the one I was on was called
Ibiza.
Ibiza. It was the one I was on wasn't as big as Ibiza. It was like a lower level version. It was called. I have to ask my friends. We were all like remembering that weekend there. It was crazy. I feel Malagoof.
Yeah,
Malagoof. We went to Malagoof. I can't remember the name. And it was crazy island. Yeah, we went there as my crew, and my ex-girlfriend at that time. She was the other girl that I was with for a long time. Her name was Deborah, and she was there as well. And I was there with my boys, and she was there with her crew. And the guy that she cheated me on with the dress, remember I told that story? Did I tell that story?
I think it's on that.
She cheated on me with the dress that I just bought her that day. And so she was there at that party, at that island as well. That's the divine providence. Like, of all the islands and all the places in the world, I go with my boys for a week away just to get away from everything in London and just have a good time. And there she is. It's like, come on. And like, and she's like looking good. It's all like, because it's tanned and it's like.
Was your girlfriend at that time? Or
she was my ex. But I hadn't really got over it.
It's literally the in between the scripts. That's what it is.
Yeah, it was like
Go away and
Hey, you wanted to go to the tonight?
and she kept being at the same places, all the main locations I went to, and then the guy that she cheated on, he actually wasn't there himself. I'm going to correct the story, but he was. All the boys that he was friends with were there. Yeah?
Cheated on you and this guy?
She cheated on me with this guy. Yeah.
Oh,
But that was at that party the night after I bought her the dress and been with her family. So now we're no longer in London. We're now in this country, Malagoof or whatever it's called, near Spain. And she's now, what she's done, she's there with not her crew and all the boys' crew that she cheated on with. But he himself wasn't there, which was better because I would have gotten a proper fight with him. In London, it would have been maybe different. I mean, I have more boys maybe than him, because I just was that kind of guy, but his boys were older and, it would have got pretty crazy. But once you're now, you're in a new situation and it's, the guy's standing there, you're just going to knock him out. But I didn't, and he wasn't there. So I started getting a bit of fights with his boys because they knew that the whole story, and they were trying to tell me to stay away from her. And anyway, so at that club that she was at, one of the nights, there was this girl who was dressed to the nines. That's what we call it. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't use these numbers. Bad game. But she was dressed to the nines. That's how the language is brought down. And she had I didn't know this, but she was tall and she had the whole thing. And she was like one of these club girls. I don't know. Maybe they're employed by the clubs. I don't know. And I started hanging out with her a little bit, flying home. Trying to make the other girl jealous, the ex-girlfriend. And then I went on this whole crazy thing. I was so drunk, and I went on this whole run around the island, and I ended up in this little restaurant thing late at night, and there was the girl from the park club, the actual girl. And I sat down for her, and she said, "Do you want to come back to my place?" I was like, "All right." I'm on the rebound right now, so that's what rebound is. And I went back to her place, and she started taking off all the stuff she was wearing. It was a bit freaky. I hadn't ever been with a girl who wore a wig or all that. Maybe nowadays become more common, but she had hair extensions and she took off her heels. She wasn't so tall anymore, and a lot of it's what? No, she was still pretty, like as anything. But she wasn't like the way that you experienced at the club, like because it's a whole like show. Anyway, she was like, come lie down and like we'll talk. And I literally did nothing. I didn't sleep for anything. I could have done whatever I want, but I didn't. And all I did was just keep talking about relationships and wanting to connect. And I have this girl who was there, and it's really hard for me the way it's all panned out. And she said, yeah, she has a guy waiting for her in Wales, which is where she's originally from, and she feels bad how she's living out here. And it ended up becoming this deep conversation. And the only thing I did, by like 3-4 in the morning, she just says, "Can you just like hold me? I just feel very like alone over here, really, honestly. Even though I'm living this seemingly fun lifestyle, but inside I feel alone." And I did. I just held her, and I remember leaving like 6 in the morning or something, and the guys were like, "Oh!" When I saw them all, where you been? Oh, you saw you go off with that girl, and I was like, no, nothing happened. They're like, what? That kind of conversation. Yeah. Anyway, so get back to Emily. So Emily, she didn't leave me alone, and it's not. She wasn't. She was a cool girl. She was from like royal like stock, from that world of central London. And it's funny because my father, when we went back to London, he took us on a tour around London, like my wife, my third son, and he took us on a tour to all the cool places, yeah? And he went to Buckingham Palace, and then he takes us along this street. I don't remember exactly the street, but he says, "This is where I met your mum. She fell down the stairs. Hey, see the staircase? She fell down. I was at the bottom. It was a jazz club. I met your mother on these stairs." And I was like, wow, like I came into the world through this jazz club in like fancy place in London. And then she goes, "This place," we walked a bit further down, "is where I met this girl, because I used to work in here." This was like in the 60s, 70s. I used to work there doing all the decor of the shop, and it was like some sort of Selfridges, but like a London version. And there's still the main idea of the shop still exists in a larger form now in London. But yeah, this was the place, and it still has the name on the wall of the original name. That's where I worked. And he said that in the place, who worked there? Posh London girls. But some of them were royalty. Some of them from the royal family, because it was like a high class place, and I was good at this. And one of the girls invited me back to a place, and and the parents were like, very upset when they discovered me in their house with their daughter, and not from royal stock. Like the Jewish people have our standards, the royalty have their standards. Yeah. So she set him out, and he just, I don't know, my father just telling me this, it's like, I never heard this story, and he's like, his time of the royalty. So I had my moment with this kind of royal kind of person, and she was really into me, and she would come all the way from central London. If you know the Northern Line, you know how the underground works?
Yeah.
It's pretty big and extensive. All the way to come meet me where I lived, and all the way at the end, Edgware. It's like the end of the Northern Line. She'd come all the way, and she'd see me, and that's where we began that whole story that I mentioned. And even when I told her, like, we need to have a break, like, I just didn't feel right. And then she even a few times sent me letters and that. So I ended up meeting her in town. Now she came in the car, this time I met her in town, and she tried to sleep with me in town, in the daytime. She literally tried in the car, on top of me, like, was getting ready to go, and I was like, in the car, I was like, nah, it's not happening here. Yeah, and it was that kind of vibe. And I'm telling you, she wasn't ugly at all. She was like a blonde, beautiful girl, like from that world. And I just felt like something was just never going to connect. And that was constantly my question. Why am I Jewish? Why do I need a Jewish woman? Why do I need Jewish friends when I've got all these other options on the table in London? And that was the burning question. Like for me, my whole journey of Judaism began like that, with that question, where I just didn't feel comfortable with that kind of reality. And same, even when I went to Malaguf, you think I would have hit with some women? I didn't. In university, I didn't get with one woman in university and past a certain stage. I did not. Nothing. And it doesn't make sense. I was like, as I can show you a picture, I already have sent you a few. I was not an ugly dude. And girls were interested. Girls would come to my place. Situations would happen, and I didn't go fully all the way, because I just didn't feel like this is what it's about. And that was also a thing, like, what is wrong with me? I'm not gay, yeah, that's, for sure. And I am sexual, like, I am a sexual guy, like, I have these feelings, it's real things, but, like, I just can't complete it with these kind of people. Like, I really need it to be someone more than that. So, I don't know, so that's I regretted that time. Your question's good, and I regretted that time, but it did teach me a lot about myself. So that's the important part. That when you go through something in life, the key is, rather than regretting it, it's about what can I learn from it. And I did learn I learned something about myself that I just wouldn't go with non-Jewish women. And it wasn't anyone telling me, it wasn't a rabbi, had no rabbis in those days. It wasn't some religious thing. It was just an inner awareness. I didn't feel right. Something was off. And that was it. That was enough for me to like guide myself away from that. Next question.
Did you ever sleep with two women?
No, I never had what they call it?
Threesome.
Yeah, I never had a threesome.
What you like?
Would I've liked one? Look,
At that time, you like.
I don't know. Like the movies make it look good,
Yeah.
but when I've talked about because I'm very open with my wife about these kind of concepts. Not that we would ever do it, but just the idea of it, like working through things. And she's disgusted by even kissing or anything with another woman. So to her, it would never ever happen. Yeah, she's a holy woman. She's not interested, and so that's already like closed the door because it's all about my wife. Yeah. Now there is like a whole movement out there, and I'm saying this, I'm being like straight with you guys, where the world's at. There's a whole movement of sex therapy out there where sex therapists actually engage the couple in that kind of stuff to sort of help them through their sexual journey. And
why? Like, what's the logic?
The logic is that it's sort of they're trying to awaken the passion. It's not so logical because it's wrong, but they're trying to awaken the passion. They have a theory out there, and it is available in America, and there are people who will do it as part of their sex therapist business. They will physically get involved with the couple to help them develop the right connection. And I personally think it's sick. I feel sorry for those therapists. I feel sorry for the couples that need that. I think it's a sad thing that they've come to such a low level physically that they need to engage with another third party for that intimate moment. Because once again, intimacy means it's between you and this other person, most intimate level. How can you share that with a third person? Okay, next question. Yeah.
There's this thing called November, like not November.
Yeah. Say again?
It's like a challenge in November. This is the whole world.
Challenge. I know the world has challenges, like people have sober November.
You're not allowed to do anything.
No, that's what
You just gotta stay pure for
Yeah,
all
sober
month.
November, yeah. I've heard that with drugs, alcohol.
It's only yesterday.
Yeah. Rogan always talks about it with his cover, like they don't drink, they don't do drugs, they have a whole month of sober November. Yeah, I've heard about it.
And you
No,
know,
you're allowed to drink and smoke.
So in
You're not allowed to
December.
do-
You're not allowed to be with a lady.
You don't like do anything like that.
Okay,
You're allowed to.
so all those kind of all those challenges are good
Wait,
because
I have a question.
yeah, go on.
What's your body count?
Say again?
What's your body count?
Oh, I'm not saying.
Nah?
No, sorry, man.
Can you say it that way?
I've already given you a few insights. I mean, I'm already by 3 already based on this conversation. Yeah, you weren't here the whole time, but 3.
60.
But right now, there we go. That's where I'm at right now, and that's where we're staying in the terms of my journey for this today, anyway. But to get back to the sober November, it's a fair enough question. I mean, I've watched movies, I've seen things, I've even had friends who their body counts are huge. Yeah, it's terrible. Just when we were one thing that helped me as a kid to limit that. One thing that helped me, there was a whole AIDS epidemic. Who remembers the AIDS epidemic? Were you too young? When I was a kid, AIDS was like a big thing. So when we grew up, one of the main adverts that would come on was you'd see this like one woman and suddenly this man on top, yeah, because they're connecting in that way. And now it would flash all the people that they've all been with. And it was mad, like, it was like thousands of people just, because they've all like been with each other. It's this whole chain and you're starting to think, so would I want all those people in this space? Like, no. Some of them were disgusting. Some of them, like you entered that woman and then that man and then I don't want all that. And it's like, it's too weird. Yeah. It's hard enough to sit on a plane with people and breathe the same air. To think that I have to like now imagine my wife with like 100,000 people that through each other, they've all been with each other. It's sort of a bit off-putting. And with the AIDS epidemic, you could die from it that in those days, before they had all the technology we have now to deal with it. But to get back to the question, the original question, your question again was Sober November. So the idea of having challenges, the Gedalia Fenster, I mentioned his name before, he has a 40-day challenge. He puts people on it. I can put you guys on it if you're interested. I think it's a good idea. What I did was, when I was in a yeshiva called Neve Sion, we had a go clean month. Everyone who went clean for a month, I would take them out to eat in a fat restaurant. I got it funded, and I'd take everyone out. Now, where did I go wrong? I took them all out after a good crew of guys, and they were drug tested. So it wasn't like just based on opinion. I'm not going to go test your, sperm if you've been with someone. I don't even know if it works. But say with drugs, you could test if they've been drugs, and they were daily drug testing them that whole month, and they were all sober that whole month. So we took them out for a fat meal. Where did I go wrong? They all ordered endless alcohol and got pissed off their heads, all the guys. And there was a video of them all drunk off their heads, and the guy who gave the money was like, "You've just transferred from one drug to another. I'm not interested." He was very disappointed. Because all the guys just got blasted. He was like, "Oh, we were celebrating." I was trying to justify it. Say, "There's nothing wrong." I'm like, "L'chaim." And he was like, No. If you're going to be sober, you don't celebrate a sober meal. Go sober with like a piss up, as they call it. Yeah. And he wasn't happy about it. Anyway, so I didn't do it again. But the idea is that it did work though. People were clean who would never be clean. And in terms of in this area, the 40-day challenge of not masturbating, not being with a lady. Yeah, it does help a lot because it shows you can have abstinence. And the best part of the abstinence is that you have self-control, is you start to feel a different energy level. This is, once again, all this stuff that we're talking about, how do you win the war? It's because you are now at a better place within. That's the most important point. You can't really do it. It's all about mindset. You're in war. Who are the ones who are going to win? The mindset's in their head's in the right place. So then they're as we said, the goats, they're like at a higher level. They're in their zone. How are you going to get in that zone? Ask the goats. How much are they banging hit left, right, and centre every lady around, or they're not? Majority of them are not. The ones who are really, listen to Rogan when he talks about the fighters. Yeah, who are the fighters who are really rocking it out? Who are really winning the most in NWA and all that kind of stuff? UFC. Who are the ones winning it?
McGregor.
Muslim, Arab.
No, McGregor not.
Arab.
Yeah, what are they doing?
They don't fuck around. They don't.
No parties, no late nights, boozing up. Yeah, not open to this woman, that woman. The energy level you have when you control yourself in this area is amazing. Because it's so much energy you're downloading, as I said before. You're downloading big money, big bucks. This is like $1 million seed. This is energy. These are souls. And you're just blasting out some whoever. She's walking around with your inner energy, your inner soul, because coming through you on the inner level. Your inner energy is going out to some lady that you're never going to see again. She's walking around with your DNA and who knows what. You don't want it in there. And say you didn't even put it in her, you put it in the bag. Now that goes into the trash. That's where your inner energy and wisdom goes to. Yes.
Have you ever done BDS, huh?
What's that?
Like kinky stuff.
Kinky stuff. All right. So, this is great. Kinky stuff is overrated, honestly. Because the problem, where it all goes wrong, is it's overly orchestrated. Meaning, let me explain with intimacy. When it's really amazing, it's not even about intellectualizing it. Do you understand? It's not about like setting it into all these positions and ways and approaches. That's already like missing the flow. If you're in love with someone, it's deep. It's coming from it's not even spontaneous. It's from a deep connection, wanting to have with this person that's beyond then all these positions, all these ways, all these things. And even if you go into Shulchan Aruch, you go to Halacha. Now there's the Mishnah. This is important. Reish Mem is a famous area in Halacha and Orach Chaim. I'm not a rabbi. I'm just telling you what it says over there, and you can do with it as you will, or ask a rabbi yourself. But that Reish Mem, it says you should look at the lady like a demon, basically. She's tempting you with your area, and she's tempting you, and that's the kind of like fear and pachad and yira and like holiness that you should look at it with. That's what's brought in Orach Chaim. You go to Eben Ezer, that's Rabbi Elazar's shita. You go to Rabbi Eben Ezer, another partial Gemara, and Rabbi Yeshua says it's all about pleasuring her. The opposite. It's not about she's a demon. It's about pleasuring her, and there's a lot more heterim, like permission to be able to do how to do that, and therefore it's not like some scary thing. It's something very beautiful, and it's opportunity to. So, based on the two places in halacha, you've got two different ways of looking at connecting with a woman. One is it's a very scary thing, and you can't just do what you want, and you have to be aware that God's in the room at the same time, and it's a spiritual moment. And another one is saying, no, it's about really pleasuring her and giving the full experience. And that's the mindset which I would say for our generation, based on like when I tell you the demon one, you don't really relate to it, yeah? Or maybe you do, some women are like that, but does anyone relate to that demon approach, yeah? Yeah, anyone feels connected to that? No. About the idea of making her feel good, is that something that you relate to?
It's important.
That makes sense, yeah? Okay, so you've got to, within the realm of Torah, you've got to figure out where you're at and speak to people, and that's why before you get married, you're going to have that kind of conversation, and you're going to have the opportunity to know how to do it in a way that really leads to longevity in this relationship. On an inner level, the concept of kinkiness is like missing the point, because a lot of women the main issue is they're not actually that into it. It's like, unless you've got that kind of, and then I'd be questioning what kind of woman is she, if she's overly into that kind of stuff. Like, really, a woman should want to have that first, most importantly, emotional connection, and then through that you develop into a more intimate level. But if she only wants that kind of physical way and all these different things, then maybe there's something off there. Like, once again, it could be some red flags if she's overly into that kind of headspace. So that would be a red flag as well. But one of the important things I just want to say to you guys is don't make, for example, in this program, don't make these women into objects. They're beautiful Bas Yisrael, they've come here, they're in your program. These are beautiful souls who are on the same program as you. Think about them a little bit with a bit more dignity, respect that they deserve, and just allow them to not feel like you're evaluating them as numbers and as objects. Like, they're people. Remember that. You have sisters, you have mothers, you have daughters. One day, you don't want to do that to these girls in this program and devalue them just because they're same age and there's that kind of vibe. They're better than that, and you're better than that. And you've got to keep the picture a little bit more elevated, because it's something which is a challenge based on the education you're getting from outside. It's going to make you want to think in that way, but that's not really the right way to think. Yes.
What do you think about going into the back door?
The what? That position?
Like, can someone explain?
Someone will explain. I don't mind. You laugh. It's cool.
Like, in the butt.
Yeah. So I think that's disgusting, honestly. Yeah. I all these different. That's where there's certain. Thank God, Torah definitely doesn't like that. Yeah. Now, once again, I mentioned Rabbi Yeshua. There's room for. But if you'd ask a woman, what does she want? Once again, this is the whole focus. If it's on her, unless she's like growing up in some crazy like situation where she was abused or who knows what, or she's been overly exposed to Cardi B or something, I don't know what. Yeah, unless she's hanging around with that kind of crowd, yeah, she's not going to want that. A normal Jewish woman does not want that. Just being honest with you. Yeah, I don't know all Jewish women, but based on the conversation, they don't want it. Yeah. So based on that, all the fact that they don't want it is already makes it forbidden to you. Not even Torah. Just being a self-respecting human being. Once a woman doesn't want it, that already says no to you. Because remember, we're here to give to them. We're not here to take from them. And that really is the wrong approach for that kind of connection, because there's nothing they're really gaining from that. Do you understand? Yeah.
One more question. I know it sounds silly, but it's a serious question.
Yeah.
Do you think a relationship is like ruined if you have to use like sexual objects because it means like you're not satisfied with the other.
No, for our generation, there are all kinds of discussions that allow different tools. Like what do they call the gel KB? I don't know. I never used it really, but that makes it more lubricant. I don't know. There's all this stuff. Lube. That's what they call it. Yeah. So that there's discussions that you should use that if you need, and there's all kinds of things to help the connection point. But at this stage where you guys hopefully you're not doing it day in day out, you're not married yet, so I hope so. Therefore, you probably don't need that kind of stuff. And the idea of once again, if a woman, it's really got to do with the woman, like what she wants and what she needs. And you're right. Ideally, a man should be able to fulfill her needs. But we're going to have ups and downs sexually, and life can be stressful, and people go through times when they're not performing fully, and you can get help with that, but also you can use other ways. But the main focus is once again what she wants, not what you want. Yeah.
You said a girl is supposed to receive all the whatever bullshit.
The seed, the energy.
What is the girl mindset?
Very, very good. So he's sadly coming really deep in a way, because whether you realize it or not, because really it's called in Kabbalah. We're going to say a little bit of mysticism right now. It's called Mayim Nukvim. It's called the feminine waters. Literally, you can figure that one out. Yeah. What does it mean, feminine waters? So it means that there's a certain arousal from below. There's an awakening from the in the ideal understanding of that. There's an awakening of the lower aspects of the connection, that they're wanting you more than you're wanting them. Do you understand? You've created a desire in them, and that really is what a man, by doing all the pre-game, all the emotional work, that's the real key to the game. You want them to want you, not you want them. And that's the real key to bring down good kids, or please God, and later in life, and to be able to have a really solid relationship, that you feel their desire towards you. And that really is, for most men, men want every minute, we're crazy, yeah? And women don't want most of the time, yeah? But a real relationship gets to the point where when it's really time to connect, they want you. And it's an arousal from their inner being. They want to connect with you, and they want you to come and connect with them. It's a very beautiful thing. But it's not going to happen in the world out there. People use alcohol. People force themselves to feel those things because it's part of their group pressure. I'm not talking about any of that stuff. No alcohol, no group pressure, no society pressure. I need to a lot of women feel pressured as well, just like you guys, in their way, that they need to already have done it already. They need to know what it is. There's no pressure. Each person connects to their person in the right time, in the right way, that fulfills that deep need to connect to another soul in the most intimate way. Yeah.
Do ultra-Orthodox people do foreplay, or do they just go straight to it? Because is it just...
No, they shouldn't do that. That's a mistake. If anyone, unless there's a tremendous flow in the conversation, and they're just in that state where they just want to connect, which is very rare. Yeah. I mean, you'd say the movies, they just jump straight to it, yeah? But movies, remember, whatever you've seen in the movies does not mean real life. Just very important. I said about war, you're not Rambo, and you're not Brad Pitt, and you're not, take anyone, whoever you... Huh?
Tom Cruise.
You're not Tom Cruise. No one can... I'm back. No one can run that long like he does in every single movie, no matter what it is, always running. I can never notice Tom Cruise. It's always running. No one is like him. Yeah? He is unique, and he's not reality for 99.9% of humanity. He's a unique human specimen. Yeah? So we have to get our heads out of the way the world has been depicted to us from media and get into reality. And to answer your question again, can you just repeat it? I just want to make sure I really get it.
I mean, what I meant is do ultra-Orthodox people just go straight?
So the ultra-Orthodox world, one, they don't have all those movies, so they're not going to jump to it because of all those images of seeing I don't know if you ever saw a film Basic Instinct. You should never see it, but it's just hardcore again and again, to the point where the people in the movie had sex addictions afterwards. They had to go to doctors, actors. They were messed up from the movie. Yeah. Michael Douglas and people like that. Anyway, so the point is that you should not. They don't have those images. They don't have it. So they're not stimulated that way to just want to do it. But there is a concept that they don't want to be busy with the area enough, the situation enough that they're going to spill seed. They don't want to spill seed because that's something which they're very careful of. So the Orthodox people would be very careful in that way. So they're not going to overdo the pre-game. But if they've been given proper advice, and based on our friend's question here, which is probably the most important point, that, you hear me, brother? Yeah, I'm not going to say a name because I want to do it on the recording, but his question was the best point in terms of where we want to aim towards, because we need to think about where they're at. We need to try to get out of our own head and our own needs and think about where they're at. Where's this other person at? That's why I'm saying in the program, you don't want to make all the women feel like garbage because you're just evaluating them. You have to think about the other person. You have to think about them more than that. And that sensitivity, that emotional sensitivity, that's really going to stimulate the opening of the woman. That's how it works. The emotional game opens them up. And that's why every Orthodox person has to work, and every person who cares what God wants has to really work on that part of the connection, that they do have to open up the woman. Because you understand, physically, do you know how it works physically? If a man, I'm talking to guys who know what, I'm not like making this up. If a man just comes and puts his thing inside a woman, she's not ready. It doesn't work. 90% of the scenarios. Yeah, maybe, like I said, there's always these exceptions. But it doesn't work that way. It's just going to hurt, it's going to be painful, it might not even work properly, it's just it's not going to happen. So it has to be that process, has to take place. So that process as a Torah person would be, and that's the advice you're given, there is a process. It's even got holy names. We're not doing wedding classes here, but everything has a name. Like the concept of the Mikdash, the base of Mikdash, we have a temple and there's different avodas. So some of the names of preparing in the spiritual terms and mystical terms is using some of those terminologies, as the intimate moments has those terminologies to prepare for the moment of intimacy. And we're not going to get into it now, but like one of them is called Pitum Katoris, like the idea that you're meant to stimulate, in a way that creates a reach nechayach, that creates an energy, creates a situation. It just comes straight in, it's just not going to do that. So that's the Torah advice, is there is a process. So it's a mistake that people think that Torah people just like it's very like non-emotional and very like robotic. That's not real Torah. That's something they missed out on learning about it properly. Yeah, they became too caught up with the fear of it and the negative side of it that they lost the love. And it has to come with love. That's true Torah. True Torah is ba'ava, is with love. It has to be with love. So Orthodox people that have mechanized it too much are actually missing the boat. They're not understanding where the generation is. They're not understanding even what it's about. They've become too robot style in keeping their Judaism, and that's a criticism on the Orthodox. Well, they can't be that way. They've got to keep the soul, the energy, the flow, the inner aspects of the Torah, and the emotional aspects of the Torah are also important. You say every day. What do you say in Shema, guys? Every day. You guys, you'll say Shema. I mean, we're in a base midrash now. Yeah. What do you say? It's Bnei Akiva. Well, Mechina, Bnei Akiva. And you get up in the morning. I'm coming here 9 a.m. I have shacharis, and I left as soon as I could just before Kriyas Torah because I wanted to be here on time. Maybe I could daven earlier, but I like the time I pray there. Works my schedule. So I'm here now with you guys early in the morning. I said Shema, and you guys said Shema, I hope. What's in the Shema? It says, Ahafta es Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavcha. Doesn't say, you shall fear him. It says, what do you say? Love him. Everyone says every day, morning and night. All the soldiers in the army, whether religious, not religious, they're all feeling this need to connect, to fill in, to tzitzis, to feel like protected by Hashem in this war situation. And what's the most important part? The love. You should love Hashem, your God, with all your heart. So love is a big part of Judaism. And love is part, the ava. The love, the root of love is giving. And the man is the one who's meant to represent the aspect of giving. We're literally giving over seed. We're giving over life energy. We have to give it over with love. We're not giving it over with just whatever. Yeah?
Are you supposed to say Shechianu after your first time?
I never heard that question. This guy is like he's Mechanish.
When he knows it, he knows it.
Yeah.
Before your first time. You say
No,
it.
I like the idea. I think it makes sense. For some reason, there is no bracha on this whole aspect. What there is to say, there is things you can say and have in mind that help the connection of prayers for children, Mizmor David, like there's a segula to say that before you connect with your wife. There are things spiritually you can say before you connect with your wife to just bring down a more spiritual energy, but there's no blessing. There's no specific blessing. Yeah.
Once you reach a stage where
Yeah.
like you're old enough that you can't have kids anymore, are you still allowed to engage?
Yeah. So this is something someone asked Ben Shapiro in Cambridge. They asked him this week, and he answered amazingly. They said to him, so therefore, once you've had your 4 children, which Ben has had, and he say he's not going to have any more, you should just get divorced. That's what someone asked him. And he said, I'm asking that seriously. Because his whole thing was about, producing children and stuff. So he said, well, one, I hope that my wife and I will not be in that kind of state where we want to get a divorce. Yeah. 2, like I'm saying, I'm 22 years married. I don't want to lose, this is forever. 2, you have to understand that when you find this lady, this woman, this is a soul connection forever. And one of the most powerful ways of expressing that soul connection, this is God's will, to bring it into the body, into the physical. God does not want it to be theoretical or some speech in the shul. He wants it like everything in Judaism. What's the difference of our religion and all other religions? We make spiritual the physical. He wants us to bring spirituality into our intimate life. So that when we're with a woman, it's the most spiritual journey. You're journeying together with this woman your whole life. You're going to hold hands, you're going to go to a beach together, you're going to go on trips, you're going to go through challenges, financially this thing, you're a team. You're going through all of life's challenges together till you're 120 with this person. That's the ideal concept of husband and wife. And this, when you connect physically, that is something which is the most manifesting of unification, unity in this world, other than when we all become one ultimately when Mashiach comes. The idea that this connection between man and woman is the blueprint, is the nimshal, it's the purpose of humanity to have unification between one human and another human, and the physical connection between man and woman is the most profound expression of that. And that's why it's the most challenged area. That's why,
Are you, like, I don't really understand the Jewish perspective or like you, in Judaism, you can only have sex with your wife to have a child.
So that's exactly what he's sort of asking, but you're right. No, that's not the point. Children, yes, there's another mitzvah called having children. Like we know in the Torah, we just read it in Bereshit. Yeah? Puravu. Yeah? What?
That's why they have lots of kids.
But that's not the point. The point is that there's a mitzvah of giving her owner. What's owner? Her needs, taking care of her needs, clothing, feeding, and relationships. Connecting physically, you and her, is an actual obligation in your kasuba, in your marriage contract, in the Jewish marriage contract, that you are pleasuring her, you're giving her that feeling of connection, that honor that she deserves, that oneness that she pines for. That's the way you're thinking about it. Not just about, I get my needs met. I need to get my needs met. You're now thinking about her, what can I do for her? And you think about a real marriage, that's what it's about. You see it. I'm sure you've got parents, please God, even in this generation, you've got parents who you see your father really genuinely cares about your mother and takes care of her. Yeah? That's a real marriage. I mean, a lot of people unfortunately have lost that image because of divorce and single parent families, and people have lost that image of a healthy marriage. But a real healthy marriage, you see your father genuinely loves his wife and takes care of her and wants to give her things, wants to make her feel loved, buy jewelry, clothe her, and nowadays even if you have a boss lady, one of these boss ladies who running things, they've got their businesses, they don't even need the husband, but they themselves will still want that because they still want to have someone to love them. It's just part of a normal healthy woman. They want that, even with all their success. Yes.
What does Judaism say about vasectomy?
It's terrible. Well, that's what the woman taking away the ability to have pleasure.
No. What?
Both ways. It's not right.
I know, but
Not right.
That's not what it is.
What?
It's when you tie the cord.
The castration, yeah. It's not right. Never. No. It's not an option. We are here. Remember, a lot of the things of like changing your physical self for the sake of society, it's not our style. Like Hashem made you in His image. He made you the way you're supposed to be. Don't start fiddling around with the physical aspects of your body, changing genders and all this stuff. You were made a man, you be the best man you can be. You made a woman, be a woman. You have women tendencies, channel them in ways that make you feel fulfilled, but doesn't mean changing physically. Physically, this is clear. Man and woman. There's no gender issues in Judaism, if you're asking from a Jewish point of view. Yeah, you have those feelings, you have those needs, work it through, figure out how to channel it. It doesn't mean you have to now physically change the way God made you. Yeah.
What does Judaism say about donating to a sperm bank?
So these are good questions. The problem is you can't really, like just on a simple level, spill seed when it doesn't go into a woman. That's why one of the questions that will come up is more relevant for us is what about birth control? The whole subject, we'll end on this because it's getting late. The whole subject of birth control. Yeah, you know about birth control in Judaism? What did you think it says? I'm asking you guys. Are you allowed to take birth control? Are you allowed to use a condom? No. What's the whole point? Like if you would understand at a Torah level, the point is the seed needs to get to where? Not to the egg, to the woman's, the rechem. The woman's needs to enter the woman's egg. If it doesn't get, there's not always going to be an egg that's ready on this and that, but it has to go into that place. Yeah, that's where the seed needs to go. This holy energy needs to go to the right place. It can't go into a plastic bag. It can't go into the bum hole or whatever is going on. It needs to go into. No, you brought it up. I'm just quoting you. You have to put it into the right place. So that's the bottom line. So now, what can you do about birth control in that situation? Give me some ideas. There's spermicide. That's 1. 2. Next. I don't like spermicides. Messy business. Huh? It is. Huh?
What was the question?
Spermicide I'm not into. It works. It kills the sperm, the ability to create children, and it's allowed because the sperm still went to the right place, but there was waiting the substance that killed the sperm. What else? What other options are there?
People pull out.
That's a problem because then the sperm's going in the wrong place. Plus, that's not always guaranteed. How many people have thought they pulled out and they didn't pull out and then they game over? Yes, there's all kinds of things you can put inside a woman now. Coils, this thing, that thing. You put inside a woman that prevents the seed from getting to where it would go to create life. But it still made it to the main area. Like it's allowed because it made to the area, but it's not going to now make an egg fertile. And that's the whole. Then you've done the mitzvah, you've pleasured your wife and everything else you're trying to do, but you haven't created life, and that's okay. That we're allowed to do. Now there are rules. You still have a mitzvah of being fruitful and multiply, so you can't just forever just go down that road. Like people who choose to never have children, that's not really a Torah thing because you're meant to be fruitful and multiply. Become quite fashionable, by the way, not to have children. I watch these YouTubers, Cara and Nate. I don't know if you ever watched them, ever heard of them. They're really like famous. Like right now they're in their van life stage. But one of the things they do, which I really recommend, right now they're riding from California all the way to the East Coast. They're doing a bike ride on a 3-man bike. There's 3 couples, so there's 3 men, 3 women taking turns on the bike, and they're riding across America. So one of the things they did, which I really related to, when they got a third way through, they made a party. They got out champagne and they had a party when they finally arrived to that point and they celebrated. And that's really important. We should, in our class, celebrate that we got to the point. We did private victory and we're now working together. I see this as much more interactive, much more my style. We're starting to win a little bit because we're getting through some real questions. Yeah, we'll end on this. Last question. Yeah.
No, it's a serious question. Are you allowed to marry an infertile woman and then have a child with the egg of another woman and then have that be your child?
Wow. That's a beautiful question. I mean, I hope the answer would be yes, because all these women who are infertile should have that opportunity, because there are ways now through technology to do amazing things, and this only whole unfertile story. Difficult to have children. There's so much technology now, so many opportunities to freeze your eggs and all this kind of stuff is amazing. And it gives people who've had issues with fertility opportunities to have children or to adopt children. The specific question you're asking, that would be a rabbi question because it's quite complex. But I can look into it. So maybe send it to me on WhatsApp in writing and I'll look into it. Because I'm not saying I don't know it, but I don't want to answer mistakenly because it's quite complex. But to end off today's class, you see, one, that all of you can contribute to this class. It's not just me coming weekly. It's something we all need to work on together. There's things you're thinking about that I wouldn't think in this way. You've come up with some ideas. You brought me to a very spiritual point. I started quoting Kabbalah, I didn't know I'd be doing that over here. But the point is that we as a group, as a team, need each other. I can't do this class long-term successfully without your input. So you want to have any questions, you can send me during the week. I'm pretty responsive. You can send me anything. If you have something you want to discuss during the class and you want me to prepare for it, I'll do it. The main thing, and we're going to go for the win-win, is I want you to win, you want me to win. This is a group effort, and it all goes back into the original parts of the class we had. And everyone should be blessed. A beautiful week. Enjoy your day.
Amen.
Keep going. Awesome. Good days are coming.